Why are cell phones called cell phones? A smartphone, sometimes known as a mobile phone, a cell phone, or a cellular phone, is a device you take with you every day. While the phrase mobile phone is understandable, why is it called a cellular phone? True mobile phones were invented before cellular phones. Bell System introduced the first mobile phone system on June 17, 1946, in St. Louis, Missouri. It was a closed system with phones in cars that required an operator to manage calls and required the user to press a button to talk and release it to listen. However, there were a few issues with early mobile phone systems. There were few antennas in the operational area, and the phone required a powerful transmitter, making it exceedingly heavy and weighing roughly 80 pounds. Prior to the invention of a portable phone, the term cellular had a biological or geological connotation, meaning composed of cells or containing cavities. While that definition still stands, in 1947, two Bell Lab engineers called Douglas H. Ring and W. Ray Young proposed a new technological meaning. They envisioned a network made up of hexagonal cells that would allow mobile phones in cars to effortlessly move from one location to another. The layout of their network resembled that of a biological cell, hence the word cellular, but the technology to put their vision into practice didn't exist at the time. In the late 1960s, another group of Bell Lab researchers improved on Ring and Young's concept and began to construct a working system. Richard H. Frankiel, Joel S. Engel, and Philip T. Porter were the first to propose the use of a multi-directional antenna, or cell tower, in the center of each cell. The antennas could be multi-directional with this design, and different channels could be used to handle calls when the tower covered a certain cell. It allowed the same frequency to be reused, allowing more users to use their phones at the same time, while only requiring low power transmission. Furthermore, cellular networks were able to transition from one cell to another without losing transmission, allowing for a far greater operational region. Another milestone was the development of duplex phones. Because there was a different frequency for talking and listening, multiple persons could talk on a call at the same time. In telecommunications, duplex indicates that data can be sent in both directions at the same time. Because you can talk and listen at the same time on a phone, it's the most obvious example of full duplex technology. In comparison to other data transmission technologies, full duplex is the most efficient. The Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation created the first analog cellular system for car phones in Tokyo in 1979. The Advanced Mobile Phone System was the first analog cellular system in North America. It was first released in 1983. One of the most fascinating aspects of a cell phone is that it is essentially a radio. People who needed mobile communications capability put radio telephones in their cars before cell phones. There was one central antenna tower per city in the radio telephone system, with perhaps 25 channels available on that tower. A city's area is divided into small cells by the cellular phone system. This allows for widespread frequency reuse across a metropolis, allowing millions of people to use cell phones at the same time. Here's how they work. The carrier or mobile phone company divides a large area, a city or town, into cells. Each cell is typically 10 square miles in size, something like 3 miles by 3 miles. Hexagons on a large hexagonal grid are commonly thought of as cells. Each cell has its own base station, which is made up of a tower and a small building that houses the radio equipment. Low-power transmitters are built inside cell phones, and the base station transmits at low power as well. The cell phone, which is usually battery-operated, has a low power usage. Low power equals compact batteries, which is how handheld cellular phones were made possible. A base station's signals and those of the phones within its cell do not travel very far outside of that cell. Cells can thus use the same 56 frequencies. The same frequencies can be utilized over and over again throughout the city. In each city of just about any size, the cellular system requires a substantial array of base stations. Hundreds of towers can be seen in a typical major metropolitan area. However, because so many people use cell phones, expenses per user remain cheap. Each city's carrier also operates a central office known as the mobile telephone switching office. This office is in charge of all phone connections to the traditional land-based phone system, as well as all of the region's base stations. Your cell's base station will notice that your signal strength is dwindling as you approach the edge of your area. Meanwhile, the base station in the cell you're traveling toward will be able to notice your phone's signal strength increasing because it's listening and assessing signal strength on all frequencies, not just its own. The two base stations communicate through the MTSO, and your phone receives a signal on a control channel instructing it to shift frequencies. Your phone will be switched to the new cell after this handoff. The term cellular phone and mobile phone came to signify the same thing at some point, with no distinction between the two. However, calling them cellular phones may not be totally accurate. It's perhaps more accurate to state that a mobile phone connects to a cellular network or a network of cells. Of course, we now refer to our mobile phones as smartphones because they are full computer devices that do more than just make phone calls.